Hi there, we're doing question number 33333 and this is only 6 marks. Okay, and essentially this 6 marks is a very baseline question because it's a foundation topic question on dissolving and diffusion. It should also be from chapter 1 of your chemistry foundation, really depending on which year or which chapter you learn it first. Diffusion and dissolving usually comes together with solubilities and solution. So let's dive into it. Okay. So we've got question 3 here, and you see there's some context given to you. We have got crystals of copper sulfate, and we also have crystals of sodium hydroxide. So essentially, we start off with 2 solids at the beginning, and what's going to happen is they are placed in a container of water. So here is where our water is, and you will see that something will start to happen because at the end of the day, you get copper hydroxide, which is essentially a precipitate solid state. If you are wondering what's the color, it's going to be blue precipitate. And so, what they are asking here is name the 2 processes that must occur before the copper hydroxide forms. So you have first thing first, solid being placed in water. You can just visualize sugar or salt in water. What's going to happen? The first thing that's going to happen is you have dissolving, or the solid start to dissolve, isn't it? Then what happens is this solid become aqueous state. So we have got our copper sulfate crystals and sodium hydroxide crystals. If you want to know the chemistry behind it, I'm just going to write this down. We've got copper sulfate, aqueous, and then we have got our sodium hydroxide, which is also aqueous, AQ, that basically means aqueous, in case this is the first time you see this. Aqueous means it has been dissolved in water, okay? And what's going to happen here is they're going to kind of like exchange their partners. So our copper will take on the other anion, which is our hydroxide here. So what we get here is our copper hydroxide, bracket 2, and this is our solid state, the thing like we form over here at the bottom, and we also have the other side product, which is our sodium sulfate. Okay, and this is aqueous. I know at this point of time you'll be asking me, like, why is this aqueous and why is this solid? Well, I think we will have to deep dive into a chapter called solubility, and that will be placed under salt, acid, bases, and salt. So usually one of the last few chapters that you learn. Yeah. So if you have any question on where to look for this information, feel free to drop me a DM. Okay. But other than that, I will move on first. So what allowed this two to meet, okay, to form this copper hydroxide is the idea of diffusion. So that would be actually the second process that is happening over here. Okay, dissolving and diffusion, it really doesn't matter which one you put first. You can put diffusion first, then dissolving. That's fine, so long you mention these 2 processes. Okay, next we're going to look into B. The experiment is repeated at a higher temperature. Explain in terms of particles. So every time you see the word explain, you need to answer the why, the scientific reason, the scientific concept, the chemistry idea behind why this particle takes lesser time to form. Okay, so higher temperature. So what if there's a higher temperature? Okay, so at a higher temperature first, you can either use the word particles or you can use crystals. Both are fine. Okay, they move faster, or you could use diffuse. These are alternative answer. Okay, dissolve faster or diffuse faster, or the particles have higher kinetic energy. These are 1, 2, 3. Just gonna label 1, 2, 3 for you. 1, 2, and 3. These are alternative answers. So you could just simply say at higher temperature the crystal dissolve faster, you will have gotten the first mark. Or you could say at higher temperature the crystal diffuse faster. That's also the first mark. Okay. Or you could say at higher temperature the particles have higher kinetic energy. And for those of you who have learned the chapter of rate of reaction, this statement here of particles having higher kinetic energy at higher temperature makes a lot more sense, isn't it? It feels like there's lesser memory work over here. Okay, so that would be how you score your first mark over here. And to get the second mark, because this is a 2-mark question, okay, first mark is over here. The second mark here is you need to mention that the particles, so when the particles can dissolve faster or move faster or diffuse faster, the particles can collide more frequently or they can collide sooner. Okay, so that is the reason why it takes lesser time to form. Okay, So this is essentially the why. Okay, so take note of how the phrasing of the answers is. If you have any question, feel free to drop me a DM. Now, next thing, we're looking at part C. This is a very easy question. We're looking at the number of different elements, so take note, different element. And how do we do this? The shortcut here is to look for all your uppercase alphabet. Okay, because every element is represented with a capital letter or uppercase. So here we have got copper, and then we have got our oxygen, which is the O, and we also have our hydrogen. So essentially, there's only 3 elements over here. Next, we want to find out the charge of copper ion. So they have given you the formula, you work backwards, okay? But there are so many clues in order for you to get answers. The answer is actually 2 plus. How do I get that? I can work backwards, or I could look above and look at the oxidation state. The oxidation state will tell me what is the number. And of course, all metal ions will always be positive. So let's try out another example. So if I have iron 1, 2, 3, then what will you write? Okay, what is the charge of this ion? It will be Fe. And how do I know it's Fe? You use a periodic table, because your periodic table would have the symbol, and the number is 3 because there are 3 oxidations. The oxidation state is 3 lines, the Roman number of 3, and then because it's a metal, it's going to be a plus. Okay? If it's like lead, IV, then how would this look like? So again, go to your periodic table, look for lead. Lead is Pb, okay? And IV here, this one over here, is actually a Roman number for 4. So you will write down 4, and then because it's a metal ion, so it's 4 plus. Okay? So that's essentially how we conquer this 6 marks question. If again you have any question, drop me a DM. Okay? If this has helped you feel more confident, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Okay, and do subscribe more for more iGCSE chemistry walkthrough. I enjoy doing this kind of video. Any comment, just drop it in the DM. Thank you.